Myth number one. Weight loss supplements magically help with weight loss. Let's look at what a typical fat burner contains. It contains caffeine, it contains green tea, L-carnitine, green coffee extract, coleus, whatever, black pepper extract, chromium picolinate, garcinia, Cambogia in the following proportions as you can see in the table. Each of these constituents have a role to play when it comes to burning calories. And the amount of calories that they burn vary from somewhere around 3 calories to somewhere around 30-40 calories in a day. If you add it all up, the total impact on a day-to-day basis that these supplements will cause would be somewhere in the range of 50 to 100 calories in a day. You can easily create 10x the deficit by doing some diet control and some exercises. And the good part is that you would not have any side effects. In fact, only benefits when you burn those calories through diet control and through exercise. I'll explain the maths of fat loss as we move through the video and cover one myth after the other. Myth number two, there are fat burning foods like green tea, coffee, apple cider vinegar, lemon water. Let's go through them one by one. If we look at green tea and we have, let's say 2 to 3 cups of green tea, the caffeine content in that green tea is roughly 40 to 60 milligram per cup, which adds to roughly 80 to 100 milligram per day. In case of coffee, the amount of caffeine goes from 160 to 300 for 2 to 3 cups of coffee. In case of lemon water, there is no caffeine at all. And of course, in apple cider vinegar, also there is no caffeine. Now, because of this caffeine, as we have seen in case of fat burners also, we burn a few extra calories. But these calories are in the range of 50 to 100 kilocalorie per day. Pretty much zero in case of lemon water and roughly 10 to 20 calories in case of apple cider vinegar. And of course, such a minuscule amount of calorie burned will have very insignificant impact on your fat loss on a month-on-month basis. I personally consume black coffee 2 to 3 cups in a day, not because it burns calorie, but because I love the flavor. Also, it helps me push my fasting window from 12 hours to 16 hours because I have my first meal around 11 a.m. I don't practice intermittent fasting because there is any magical benefit to it, but I practice because it makes easier for me to create that 500 to 600 calorie deficit per day by skipping one single meal. Myth number 3. Carbs are the enemy and they cause fat gain in our body. In order to understand this, we have to understand the pathway which our body follows while converting carbs or protein or fats into stored fat in our body, which is in the form of triglycerides. In case of carbs is broken into glucose. Glucose is converted into acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA gets converted to fatty acids, which is then converted to triglycerides. In case of protein is broken into amino acids. Amino acids go through deamination. From deamination, we have again acetyl-CoA, from which there is fatty acids which are formed. And finally, triglycerides are formed from these fatty acids. In case of fats, they are broken into fatty acids, which are then broken down into triglyceride format and stored in our body. Now, in order to do all of that, our body requires energy, and each of these pathways require different amount of energy. The energy currency of our body is ATP. In case of carbohydrate, our body requires 25 to 30 ATP to convert them to fats. In case of protein, it requires 35 to 40 ATP. In case of fat, it only requires 3 to 5 ATP. So for the body, it is much easier to convert fats that you're eating into stored fat than converting carbohydrate into stored fat. So it is only when you provide excess carbohydrate to your body, it makes extra effort and converts them and stores them in the form of fat in your body. Myth number 4, you have to starve yourself to lose weight. Now, in order to break this myth, we have to understand how fat loss works. It's a simple maths. For every roughly 7,500 calorie deficit that you create, you lose 1 kg of body fat. So if you're able to create a 500 calorie deficit through your diet on a day-to-day basis, you will lose 1 kg in roughly 15 days. Now, if you start walking 10,000 steps a day, you are creating another 500 calorie deficit. So 500 through diet and 500 through exercise makes it 1,000 calorie deficit per day. Now you'll start losing 1 kg every 7.5 days. This is a pure simple maths. As long as you are able to do this, you will lose fat from your body. So creating a 500 calorie deficit in your diet on a day-to-day basis is not starving. It is maybe just about skipping one meal, or maybe just about not having those snacks that you're having throughout the day. Myth number 5, eating too much fruit will make you fat. There are two problems with this myth. The problem number 1 is that fruit is not a dense source of calorie. As compared to the sweets you are having, as compared to the chocolates you are having, as compared to the ice creams that you're having, fruit is way lesser in terms of the calorie content. And number two, you cannot have too much of fruits because fruits have a lot of fiber. And the fiber ensures that you cannot overeat any fruit, helping you regulate the amount of calories which is coming from the fruits. If you look at this table, you realize that we cannot consume more than 2 to 3 cups or maybe 2 to 3 pieces of most of these fruits. Hence, the amount of calories that can come from fruit is roughly 100 to 300 calories. But the benefits that you derive from fruit is a lot. There are a lot of minerals and vitamins that you get from these fruits. And also the fiber content in them helps you have a very, very healthy gut. Only case in which fruit consumption can make you fat is when you juice them up, remove all the fiber, because in that case you end up consuming much more amount of fruit which you would have consumed otherwise along with the fiber. Myth number 6, in order to lose fat, you have to cut rice from your diet. As I've explained before, it is all about creating a calorie deficit. 100 gram of rice or brown rice or whole wheat flour has the same amount of calories, which is roughly 350 to 400 calories. The only difference between the three is the amount of fiber content. It is higher in brown rice and much higher in whole wheat. Now, it is the fiber content which prevents you from overeating. So you eat less amount of rotis because of the high fiber content than the amount of rice that you will consume. But if you are having the same amount of rice and same amount of roti or wheat flour, there is essentially no difference at all. You can consume whatever you like and still lose fat. Myth number 7. Ghee and coconut oil helps you lose weight. In case of coconut oil, there's an active compound called MCT oil, which is said to help you with the fat loss. And in case of ghee, it is CLA and butyrate, which helps you with the fat loss. But the amount of fat loss, which is again happening with these two, is very, very minuscule. 1 tablespoon of coconut oil will help you burn, let's say 20 to 40 calories in a day. And 1 spoon of ghee will help you burn somewhere around 10 to 20 calories in a day. But the amount of calorie that you're getting from coconut oil and butter is 130 calories. So you're adding more calories to your diet than you're taking away. And as you understand by now, our body requires significantly less amount of energy to convert such fats into body fat. Myth number 8, more protein will lead to more fat loss. For sure, the amount of energy required by the body to convert protein into fat is significantly higher. But as was the case with carbohydrate, an excess of carbohydrate will eventually lead to fat gain. Similarly, an excess of protein will also lead to fat gain. At the end of the day, it is all about calorie in and calorie out. If you continue to provide more and more of carbs or more and more of protein to your body is eventually going to store it in the form of fat. Of course, the efficiency of conversion varies, but the difference is minuscule in the larger scheme of things. Hoping this helps. This is Vivek signing off. Like, subscribe, share, and take care.